Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Voices of the Void, it's Spider King 23, aka Reckoning here. And today I'm in my divine form. The form that brought about Nightfall, the God Slayer. Angel of Death, yada yada. Because today, I'm only really here to speak. To talk to you. And I could do that through the Void itself, but just staring into the blackness and hearing my voice, well, let's be honest, it's kind of boring. It's what you guys are used to in the Void. Hearing each other but not seeing anything. Or sometimes not even that, you're just able to read each other's thoughts. And I figured it'd be nice to give you something to look at, since normally what you see is certainly quite a bit duller than this world. I'm here for a few reasons. To tell you about 3 things. One is not related to the SMP, but the other 2 are, and the other 2 are going to be very important. Okay, that's bothering me a little bit, hold on. Ah, that would be why. There we go. Okay, now that my jewelry is actually properly rendered in, here are the things I need to discuss with you first and foremost. First, why I haven't uploaded in a while. I would like to upload more often, but I haven't uploaded in a while due to some in real life things, which I'm going to tell you about now. They are actually fairly, well, some of it's a little bit usual YouTuber stuff, right? I've been busy with college, which I honestly haven't been doing too well in. I don't think college is meant for me. But recently, last week at this time of recording this, there was a bit of a, well, let's just say last week was rough. I had to visit the ER, which was uncomfortable, but that's not the real problem. One of my family members passed away last week in real life, and it's been tough. This mask off for a minute. The rift had perfect timing to light the place up. Yeah, last week was really, really rough. However, we must press onward in the face of such times, and although they passed away, I do hope to see them again someday. In fact, in their name, I'm going to make sure that this world, this series, all of it, I'm going to work really, really hard on it in their name, because I know that they were interested and supportive of this little world. The other 2 things are a little bit less sad, which is certainly a good thing. First and foremost, I'm here to tell you about Nightfall itself. Or specifically, my reasons for it. And why that is relevant. No, that's a lie. I'm going to do that in a separate lore video. I mean, a separate video, maybe like a prelude to this series. It would be a little bit more fun that way if I did something a bit more cinematic. No, so that's... sorry. So I guess only 2 things then. The second thing is Wave 2 is incoming. You've met myself. You've met Sturch, you've met Shift, and you've met Rylan, or, strangely enough, we all have the desire to call him Fuzzy. You've met all of us, and then there's one more who you haven't met, a dweller down here, the Silver Plier, a Mothman, who you have not met. But he and all of them, save myself alone, come from the Betweenlands. Or in Ryland's case, he was traveling here at the time of Nightfall. But Wave 2, these are going to be newcomers, survivors of Nightfall, who have been made aware of the portal's existence, that us Guardians are obligated to let in. And why is this relevant? Well, first off, new faces. It's kind of lonely down here, if we're being honest, with only, if I do the quick math, 4 people? 4 survivors. That is it. Wow. 3 survivors and an avatar of a god. Although I honestly suspect that I might not be the only avatar of a god in this world. But that's another story. A story for another time. So, if you'll fly with me for a moment, and I guess I can put my mask back on, since no longer a topic quite as heavy. You can fly with me for a moment, not like you can really go anywhere else. And I suppose you could close the video. But please don't. The reason that these newcomers are more relevant than normal is because I know 2 of them. And you might get to know them as well. In fact, you might agree with them. They are 2 people who oppose Nightfall, and who oppose me. So, fresh viewpoint for some of you who might disagree with my actions. Though, not much you can do about that, being voices of the void, at least for the time being. But no. The reason that they are relevant is because they are opposed to me, and I believe that they may be a threat to the empire I am building in my mortal form. Seeing as my mortal form can act in this mortal realm with, well, they have more free will than any divine, shall we say. Because as a divine, I am the god of judgment. And although this does reflect my ideals, I have to support a perfect judgment. And sometimes a perfect judgment isn't necessarily helpful to my wants and needs and desires. There's always consequences, but sometimes a perfect equal one isn't really the best. And that is what I have to uphold in this form. But they opposed me in this form when I destroyed the sun and slew many gods. And they will most likely oppose me and my rule in my mortal form. Humanity has never been fond of tyrants of any kind. At least not ones who call themselves tyrants or dictators. They seem to be okay with kings, even though technically that's the same thing. But I digress. They will be opposed to me. They will be opposition. Perhaps even enemies. And I am curious what the consequences of Nightfall will be for me. Because in my divine form, I am relatively unaffected, and in my mortal form, I really, again, was not affected too much. Because my mortal form didn't really exist during that period of time. But I'm interested to see how these others, these newcomers, the king and his priest, among possibly others who may or may not oppose me as well, I am curious to see how they will view what I am building and how they will interact with me. Because by word or by sword, I will not fail. I have sacrificed too much to fail now, to change now. If I stop now, everything I have done will not be worth it. So I must press on, regardless of what they might think. But I am curious how they will react to me. Will they be more diplomatic about this? Might they be convinced that they are in the wrong? Might I convince you that I am in the right? Or, most likely, some form of conflict, a war fought on the ground. On wood, on soil, on snow, and on mud. I believe that is inevitable, but I am very curious to see how things will turn out. How about you? Because I believe that this world, this story, as it will unfold, has the potential to be very, very interesting. That is really all I had to say. I hope all of you stay safe out there in the void. Ladies and gents, for now at least, I bid you adieu.